to Newswatch. Tonight, many thanks for joining us as we bring you news that made headlines today. My name is Melissa Oduor. On the sign language tonight is Boniface Muredi. Newswatch begins now. President William Ruto has been recognized by the UN Habitat as the global champion of adequate housing for all. According to UN Habitat, this is in acknowledging Kenya's leadership in tackling the challenge of inadequate housing. Speaking on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York during a high-level roundtable meeting of global champions on adequate and affordable housing, President Ruto has proposed a coalition of global housing champions and brought together 25 countries, the UN, development partners and local banks to adopt a historic call for action on adequate and affordable housing.
Allow me to begin by expressing my deep appreciation to His Excellency President William Ruto for his leadership. His initiative in launching the global call to action for adequate housing reinforces the global momentum we are seeing and provides a rallying point for governments, partners, and communities to work together. Everybody already said, housing is not simply about shelter. So housing determines whether families can escape poverty, whether women and girls can live with dignity and safety, and whether cities can grow in ways that are inclusive, resilient, and low carbon. Adequate housing is a social infrastructure, and it underpins progress across all of the Sustainable Development Goals. This is why the situation we face today is so urgent. Nearly 3 billion people live in inadequate housing, including more than 1 billion in informal settlements and over 300 million experiencing homelessness. At the high-level dialogues convened this year at the resumed United Nations Habitat Assembly and jointly with the president of ECOSOC at the margin of the high-level political forum, one message came through strongly. Housing is no longer seen as a sectoral issue, but as a platform for poverty eradication, equality jobs, resilience, and peace. The housing crisis is a defining challenge of our time. For this reason, countries in all regions are increasingly placing housing at the center of the political agenda. We just heard from 3. The European Union, for example, nominated its first ever commissioner for housing and launched the development of an European affordable housing plan. In line with the Vision 2063, the African Union highlighted the importance of housing for the economic transformation of the continent in the outcome of the first African Forum held in Addis in 2024. We also heard that financing remains a critical challenge. We heard the example of Kenya, of the housing levy. Public resources are absent, but powerful tools are not yet fully harnessed. Land-based finance, cooperative housing funds, community saving schemes could unlock vast potential for sustainable investment.
Kenya, as the host of the UN Habitat, stands ready to work with each and every one of you on a joint roadmap with clear targets, milestones, and transparent reporting before the next assembly. We will align with Resolution 22 on informal settlements and the Building Climate Resilience Within Urban Poor initiative, ensuring commitments translate into real change for the most vulnerable. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, our success will not be measured by the pledges we make, but by the communities we uplift, the roofs we raise, and the dignity we restore. Housing must not be a privilege for the few who can afford. It must become the lived reality of all human beings.
Now, a cross-section of Kenyans say they are opposed to the broad-based government of President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga, saying it prioritizes personal interests over the public good. This is according to the latest survey by Trends and Insights for Africa TIFA, which has put the skeptic Kenyans at 37% of the respondents. Another 27% say they reject the arrangement because it undermines democracy and weakens the role of the opposition. A further 17% argued that the government is irrelevant to people's daily needs and development priorities. Other reasons cited by those surveyed includes fears that the broad-based government fosters corruption, lack of trust in the leaders involved, and potential human rights violations. The broad-based government was formed on the 7th of March 2025 after the president and the ODM leaders signed a memorandum of understanding as a proposed way to confront challenges such as corruption, debt, and political instability. Now, the survey was conducted between August 23rd and September the 3rd, interviewing 2,024 Kenyans. Six suspects who were arrested during the June 25th Gen Z protests in Eldoret have been granted relief after the court reduced their bail terms. The suspects had initially been ordered to pay 70,000 shillings cash bail on the 30th of June, but they failed to raise the amount, leading to their continued stay in remand for nearly 4 months. Senior Principal Magistrate Nancy Baraza reviewed the bail conditions, noting that the initial terms were unattainable due to the suspects' backgrounds. The court has now set a cash bail of 10,000 shillings each. The review came after a human rights organization intervened and appealed against the earlier bond terms, arguing that they were excessive. The suspects face charges including theft, burglary, and destruction of property. If they manage to pay, their 4-month stay in remand will finally come to an end. The family of Benedict Kabiru, one of the Kenyan officers reportedly killed while serving in Haiti, will have to wait longer for official confirmation of his death. This is after the Attorney General asked the High Court for more time, saying his office had yet to receive formal communication confirming Kabiru's death. The AG told Justice Chacha Mwita that while President William Ruto had mentioned Kabiru during a high-level meeting on Haiti at the United Nations General Assembly in New York last week, the statement still required verification through official government channels. The family lawyer Mbuthi Gathenji sought additional time to file a supplementary affidavit that would reflect the president's remarks and the new developments in the case, arguing that critical information about his fate have been withheld by the authorities. The family has pointed to President Ruto's statement as significant evidence as it effectively settles the matter of confirming Kabiru's death.
And the president has made it quite clear, not only by saying that the officers died, but by honoring them for giving their lives for the people of Haiti. The president of Haiti himself, the president of the Transitional Council, on the 26th of March, made a similar statement and said Kabiru had paid the ultimate price. Unless somebody here doesn't understand what ultimate price said, he meant that Kabiru passed on that day. Had that information been confirmed, I'm sure our client mother would definitely have done what she needed to do.
Head to Busia now, and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has arrested the land registrar Collins Ayala Liai for allegedly demanding a 10,000 shillings bribe to release a processed title deed. According to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Liai routinely withheld land titles from residents unless bribes were paid, disguised as release fees. His arrest follows multiple complaints and is part of a wider crackdown on bribery in public service delivery. Liai is currently in custody at the Bungoma police station as investigations continue. The family of Zaitun Kavaya is demanding justice after she died after falling from the 5th floor of Mpuga Gardens in Kilimani, Nairobi County. The 55-year-old domestic worker reportedly left her employer's house at around 1:17 p.m. on the 18th of September this year and returned later only to meet her ultimate death 3 hours later. And as Samia Dika reports, the Kenya Union of Domestic Workers has called for swift action against Kavaya's employer, insisting that the rights of domestic workers must be upheld.
It is right here at Mpuga Gardens in Kilimani, where Zaitun Kavaya is reported to have met her untimely death after falling from her employer's house on the 5th floor after a conflict arose over 5,000 shillings that went missing. According to the family, Gates' record on the fateful day of 18th September shows Zaitun reported to work at around 10:47 a.m. and checked out at 1:17 p.m. Shortly after, it is reported that the employer called her back with a caretaker claiming Zaitun fell at around 4 p.m. Staging protests from her Kibera home to Kilimani police station. The family wants answers as to how Zaitun fell from her employer's house.
Mambo ya kusema mama kanisa alikuwa ameiba 5,000 hiyo tumepinga. Msichana wake alipata vitu za mama alikuwa nazo. Kwa kibeti ya mama ilikuwa 160. Mbona hiyo 5,000 ikupatikana?
Tuni alikuja, kukakuja akaniambia naenda saa 3. Akakuja kwa kazi. Sikujua itatendeka. Hata mwenyewe alikuwa ameogopa.
The Kenya National Union of Domestic Workers also raised serious concerns, claiming Zaitun's case is the second one pegged on her employer.
Wasichana wa Kenya wanaenda nje ya nje, wanauawa huko. Hatutakubali tena watu wa Kenya wakuja waue wasichana wa Kenya hapa Kenya.
Assuring the family that justice will be served, Kilimani OCPD Patricia Yegon says 4 suspects are in custody as DCI officers tie the existing loose ends in the case.
Tumeanza uchunguzi na uchunguzi inaendelea. Tuko na kesi inafanywa na DCI na yangu tu ni kuhakikisha kwamba tumeendelea na uchunguzi na Zaitun atapata haki.
A week after her death, all that is left on their faces is hope that justice will be served, with the union demanding that all employers must respect the rights of their members. For Newswatch, I'm Samia Dika.
Parents who lost their children during the tragic Kakamega Primary School stampede are now threatening to seek the services of auctioneers to compel the Ministry of Education to honor the court ruling that awarded each parent a 1.2 million shilling compensation. 5 years after the tragic stampede at the school that claimed the lives of 15 children, affected families say they are yet to receive the government compensation promised to them by the courts. Recently, while appearing before the Senate Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Gamba acknowledged the court orders and assured legislators that the compensation would be settled before the close of the last financial year. However, no payments have been made so far. The families say they feel deeply betrayed by the government's inaction and lack of communication. They are now calling for urgent intervention from President William Ruto, accusing the government of breaking its promise of justice.
Mahakama ilituruhusu na pia mahakama iko na sisi ni watu tunapenda kufuata sheria. Sisi kitu mkondo ambao tutachukua tuachia auctioneer wafanye kazi yao. Hatungelipenda kufanya hivyo, lakini kwa sababu sasa inachukua muda, sasa ni miaka 5, tutachukua auctioneer waweze kufanya kazi yao.
Kaburi mahali penye tulizika watoto wetu bado zinatudai. Tukienda hapo hivyo unaangalia kaburi unaona tu ni mtoto wako. Haujui maybe saizi angekuaje.
Hata huku nje huwa tunaambiwa tumepewa pesa. Hata familia zetu zingine huwa wanasema tumepewa pesa na tujapewa pesa. Sasa hiyo ni kitu ambacho tukikaa chini tunakwazwa na watu wengine, kwa sababu ndio hatutaki pesa, hatukuwa na haja ya pesa, lakini hiyo ni kitu ambao walitangaza na watu wamejua tulipewa pesa, na hakuna mtu yoyote ambaye ametuita atuambie what next. Hatujui hata tunaweza ingilia ofisi gani Sasa tunaomba usaidizi kama unaweza kuwa tuambiwe tu mambo ya watoto ilisha hivyo.
Mheshimiwa Rais, ulikuwa Kakamega Primary. When whatever happened. Uliona watoto wetu walikufa kwa kutotarajia. So whatever tunakuomba justice. Hiyo ndio kitu tunaomba tu. Utusaidie sababu hatuna mtu mwingine wa kulilia. Ni wewe tu. Na wewe ndio ulikuwa hapo na sisi kwa watoto wa serikali. You are the high ranking mtu wa serikali mwenye ulikuwa by that time.
Just in time for our first short break here on Newswatch. We'll be back with more news. Don't go too far.
Hi, my name is Sharon Aitore Wangenya. Thank you so much for being one of our viewers. We truly honor you and appreciate you. We'd love to know how you're receiving us, how your reception is in terms of the quality of the video and the audio as well. So please scan this QR code and give us your feedback. Thank you and God bless you.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live. There's a world out there searching for hope, and you can help bring it home. By becoming a friend of Hope, you're helping us share the love of Jesus through Hope FM and Hope TV. With a donation of any amount, join hands with us to bring hope and point souls to the transforming power of Jesus Christ. Become a friend of Hope today by making your donation through the M-Pesa paybill number 933933, account FOH. For more information on how to become a friend of Hope, call 0116-212-723 or email customerexperience@hopefm.org or visit www.hopemediakenya.org. Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
Hi everyone, my name is George Gishoro, a presenter with Hope TV. Thank you so very much for continuing to support us by watching all our programs. Now, we would love to serve you even better. Now, we want to know where you are watching us from and the strength of the signal. You can scan the QR code and ensure that you answer all the questions in ensuring that you are getting us loud and clear with crystal pictures. So, go ahead and fill in the QR code so that we can serve you better right here at Hope TV, where you look and live.
We're back with more news now. Looking at the international scene, Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera has considered defeat in the presidential election, with official results showing former President Peter Mutharika leading. Chakwera says he had personally called Mutharika to congratulate him on the victory and wish him well as he prepares to return to office. Chakwera had challenged the result in court but says he accepts the ruling that the Electoral Commission must announce the outcome. According to Chakwera, provisional tallies from 24 out of 36 councils had all but guaranteed Mutharika's victory. Chakwera went on to thank his supporters for backing his candidacy while praising Malawians for maintaining peace throughout the election period. And Typhoon Ragasa has made landfall in China, forcing some 2 million people to be evacuated in preparation. In neighboring Taiwan, at least 15 people have died after a lake burst, causing severe flooding in the east. The typhoon did not make landfall in Hong Kong, but left 62 people injured after it skirted the coastline, unleashing powerful winds and heavy rains. Geologists have described the phenomenon as a tsunami from the mountains. Ragasa has weakened from super to severe typhoon status, but remains highly destructive with top winds of 241 kilometers per hour. Ragasa, which is the equivalent of a Category 5 hurricane, is the world's strongest storm this year and has been roaring over the South China Sea for days. Look at business now. The government will allow Kenyans free entry into all Kenya wildlife managed national parks, reserves and sanctuaries this Saturday as Kenya joins in celebrating the UN World Tourism Day. The United Nations World Tourism Day is celebrated annually on the 27th of September. This year's celebration is themed Tourism and Sustainable Transformation. According to Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano, the incentive offered to all Kenyan citizens to access the parks is in a bid to reconnect with our breathtaking wildlife heritage and deepen collective commitment to conservation. This will in turn foster greater appreciation of Kenya's rich biodiversity and inspire a shared responsibility to protect it for generations to come. At the National Museums of Kenya have also announced free entry to all its museums, sites and monuments across the country for Kenyan citizens during the World Tourism Day. A section of Eldoret locals have announced plans to appeal a recent court ruling that gave the Eldoret Water and Sanitation Company, Eldowers, a green light to implement the new water tariff. The court had in March this year halted the implementation of the new tariff pending hearing and determination of a case filed by the Eldoret Residents Association. Last week, the court dismissed the case on grounds that it had no jurisdiction to hear and determine the matter. Locals, however, say they will appeal the ruling, insisting that the new tariff was illegally gazetted. They lamented that there was no public participation for the tariff that, if implemented, would see locals pay 130 shillings per unit from the current rate of 65 shillings.
Ukienda Eldowers kununua maji na tank, maji lita 6,000 ni 800. Hata wewe mwenye unatumia resident haiwezi fika 800 kwa nyumba yako. So inakuwaje unacharge mtu akinunua maji Eldowers na tank 800 shillings, 6,000 liters, alafu kwa nyumba unampiga 300 times. Haiwezekani, na sisi tumesema tutapigana na tutaendelea kupigana mpaka mwisho, mpaka tukae chini tuelewane.
Ikiwa bwana rais ameamua kuweka SHA na kujitolea kulipia watu 2,000,000 wale wasiojiweza, na SHA ni shilingi 300 na 400. Leo anamaze kimya. Wakazi wa Eldoret tunadhulumiwa kutoka kwa 33% mpaka 300%. Hili ni jambo ambalo kwamba halitowezekana.
Nimepata kupewa instructions ya kuweza kuappeal kwa sababu hawakubaliani na yale ambayo hakimu aliweza kuamua. So cha msingi ya kwanza ni tunaweka ile application ya stay of execution ili tuweze kusimamisha zile tariffs ambazo zinakandamiza wakazi wa Uasin Gishu. And then from there tutaona vile ambavyo tutaweza kuendelea na appeal hiyo.
Look Look at sports now. The 2025-2026 UEFA Europa League match day 1, set for 24th to the 25th of September, has kicked off today, offering a blend of tradition, resurgence and fresh faces. Europe's second-tier club competition is particularly notable for the number of debutants entering the group stage. 5 clubs, Aston Villa, Bologna, Brann, Go Ahead Eagles and Nottingham Forest, will participate in the UEFA Europa League group phase for the first time since its branding in 2009. While Aston Villa and Brann have featured in the older UEFA Cup group stage format, this will be their maiden journey in the modern Europa League setup. The final schedule to be held in Istanbul in May 2026. And Barcelona midfielder Gavi Pablo could miss the next 5 months after having a knee surgery. The 21-year-old featured in Barcelona's opening 2 matches of the season before injuring his right knee during a training session in August. Although scan results revealed Gavi had avoided an ACL tear, he has had an arthroscopy to resolve a medial meniscus injury. There are fears that the Spain international had suffered a recurrence of the anterior cruciate ligament tear he sustained in 2023. Barcelona manager Hansi Flick says Gavi's recovery time is estimated at around 4 to 5 months. Barcelona are second in La Liga, 5 points behind rivals Real Madrid with a game in hand. How we wrap up Newswatch tonight. Thank you for your company as we brought you this newscast. My name is Melissa Oduor. Boniface Brady has been on the sign language on behalf of the entire production crew that made this possible. Have a good night.